Welcome to SWUper Troopers. I'm BK, playing Director Krennic at Energy Conversion Lab, and Jeem is playing Grand Inquisitor at Security Complex. He won the die roll, so he has initiative. We mulliganed away our opening hands, drew 6 more, and then started things off. As Jeem's first action, he plays Inferno 4, so he gets to move around the top 2 cards of his deck, and I have no opening action, so I just take the initiative. He then activates the Grand Inquisitor, pinging his Inferno 4 2 points of damage, but getting to ready it, and then he immediately attacks me, dealing 2 points of damage to my base. We regroup, so we draw 2. Both of us play a resource, of course, and then my first action is a very exciting pass. Jeem then attacks me with Inferno 4, dealing 2 more points of damage to my base. Then I pass again. I'm trying to line up a play that makes sense and not just mess with his Inferno 4. He plays Fifth Brother. He's a 2/4 body that gets bigger. I then play a Death Trooper, dealing 2 points of damage to it, thus preventing him from using his Grand Inquisitor ability on it, elsewise it would die. With nothing left to do, Jeem takes the initiative, and then we both go to the regroup phase. So we'll draw 2, play a resource, and onto Jeem's first action of turn 3. He plays a Death Trooper of his own, finishing off my Death Trooper, dealing 2 points of damage to his own. Onto my action, I use my Energy Conversion Lab with an early play to ECL out my Super Laser Technician and trade for his Fifth Brother. I personally like that line of play, although there's definitely better uses for it, like maybe Steadfast Battalion. Jeem then attacks me for 2, getting me up to 6 points of damage. I flip out my leader, Director Krennic, thanks to my ramping with Super Laser Technician. Jeem then activates his base by getting a shield token onto that Death Trooper. Therefore, I attack him for 2 and restore 2. He claims the initiative, so we'll go to the regroup phase, once again, drawing, playing a resource, and onto Jeem's first action. He uses Power of the Dark Side because I did not play around it. Director Krennic dies, sadly, and I play Consortium Star Viper as my first action of this phase, hoping to reclaim the initiative and gain some life on the attack. He attacks me with his Death Trooper, bringing me up to 7. I play a Death Trooper of my own, picking away his shield token, dealing 2 damage to my Death Trooper. He then claims the initiative as his action, and I pass. So once again, we regroup, do all the things that regrouping does, and his first action, turn 5, is to hit me again for 2. I then hit him for 4, because my Death Trooper is buffed up thanks to Director Krennic. He attacks me for 3, bringing me to 9, and I attack him back, as we are just trading blows here. He then plays a 7th Sister, which is a little tricky for me to deal with. My best answer here is to play a Darth Vader, which is a pretty good response. I'm hoping to hit something worthwhile with Darth Vader's when played ability. So I'll nest his ambush ability and first resolve his when played ability. And because of that, I found a Death Trooper, which will deal 2 damage to itself and 2 damage to 7th Sister. I'll then have Darth Vader's ambush resolve and finishing off the 7th Sister, dealing 3 points of damage to Darth Vader. Jeem's next action is to deploy Grand Inquisitor, and then I'll claim the initiative here with nothing left to do. And now that Jeem has a Force unit under his control, he'll play Force Throw, so I will have to discard a card from my hand, and then he gets to deal damage equal to its resource cost. I discard a Gideon Hask. This is the lowest cost card that I had in my hand, so he deals 5 damage to Darth Vader. After that, he moves into attacks with his leader, dealing 3 points of damage to my base, bringing me to 12. We regroup and move into turn 6. And with having the initiative, my first action is to play Overwhelming Barrage. I target my Consortium Star Viper here, so I deal a total of 5 points of damage. I'll deal 1 to Inferno 4, 1 to his Death Trooper, killing them both dead, and 3 points of damage to Grand Inquisitor. He got to Scry 2, then he plays It Binds All Things, so he removes 3 damage from Grand Inquisitor and slings 3 damage at my Consortium Star Viper. It's +2/+2 right now, so it doesn't die until the end of the phase. I play Power of the Dark Side now that his board is clear, and that kills his leader, and I'm pretty grateful. He then plays 7th Sister once again, and making use of my Consortium Star Viper before it dies, I smack him for 6 points of damage because it's buffed by my Director Krennic. Jeem then takes the initiative, and I have free reign to just get my shots in at his base. I have both of my Death Troopers just smash into him, bringing him to 23 points of damage. At the end of the phase, my Consortium Star Viper dies, we regroup, and having drawn nothing to help him out of the situation, Jeem scoops it up, so I win game 1. This is a best of 3 game, so we look at our sideboards and get ready for game 2. As for my course of action, considering Jeem's mid-range plan that's slanted towards aggro, I want to lower my curve, so I remove some of my bigger things, bringing in my Takedown, Regional Governor, and Cell Block Guard from the sideboard. I want to throw some speed bumps in the way of his early game plan. As for Jim, he wants to deal extra damage with Fallen Lightsaber and pick off some of my threats with Make an Opening, healing himself in the process. We shuffle up, keep our opening hands, and as Jim's first action with the initiative, he passes. I play a Scout Bike Pursuer as my first action, and then back over to Jim, where he claims the initiative, setting up his turn 2. After regrouping and resourcing, his first action is to play a 5th Brother on turn 2. I play a Resupply, taking my time and getting my ramp game on. After that, he activates Grand Inquisitor, dealing 2 damage to 5th Brother, making him bigger, and readying him as well. On my action, I just hit him for 1 here, not wanting to make 5th Brother any bigger on his attack. Jim swats away the fly by having 5th Brother attack into my speeder bike, and that'll make his turn 3 attack even bigger. I claim the initiative, we regroup, resource, and my first action on turn 3 is to play a Viper Probe Droid, peeping the scene at Jim's hand, and not really caring for what I'm seeing. I'm going to have some hoops to jump through. He's got a bunch of removal in his hand, and a couple of units that could definitely get carried away, especially with a Fallen Lightsaber. He moves into the red zone with his 5th Brother, dealing me 5 points of damage. My action is to play another Scout Bike Pursuer, and here I'm hoping I could get his grit turned on, or provide a target for some of his removal. He plays It Binds All Things, so this will have him heal 3 points of damage from his 5th Brother, and deal 3 points of damage to my Viper Probe Droid, killing it dead. And here, thanks to my resupply earlier on, I get to deploy my Director Krennic, so he hits the field, and I'm hoping to restore as much as I can to survive to the late game. Jim's next action is to pass, and then back over to me. I just move into the red zone at 5th Brother. I don't want my leader to have that damage on him, but it does prevent his Grand Inquisitor's ability from readying the 5th Brother. I also restored 2. Jim claims the initiative here, so I'll just pass. We regroup, both play a resource, and then Jim's first action is to play Forced Lightning. So, including the cost for Force Lightning, he pays a total of 4 resources to finish off Director Krennic. This is all because his 5th Brother is a Force unit. On my action, I play Power of the Dark Side, and have him defeat his own 5th Brother. Then, Jim takes the initiative, and my next action is to ping him for 1, bringing him to 2 points of damage. Watch out! We regroup, and on turn 5, Jim's first action is to play a Scout Bike Pursuer of his own. Now that's pod racing. I make use of my own Scout Bike Pursuer by attacking his base, so that we are at 3-all. Jim's next action is to activate his Grand Inquisitor leader ability, so he'll ready his Scout Bike Pursuer, dealing it 2 points of damage. I then pass my action back to him. He just attacks my base with a gritty speeder bike, bringing me up to 6 points of damage. I pass once again, and he deploys his leader, Grand Inquisitor. I do not have any good plays. The best thing I have here is an overwhelming barrage that feels horrible. But nevertheless, I'm able to kill his Scout Bike Pursuer, and at least Grand Inquisitor's attack ability won't ready the speeder bike, dealing me even more damage. So I kill that one dead and deal 1 damage to Grand Inquisitor. He then plays a Death Trooper, dealing 2 damage to Grand Inquisitor and 2 damage to my speeder bike. Following that, I claim the initiative, and I hope that I draw something that helps me get out of this situation. He then attacks me, dealing 3 points of damage to my base, dealing 1 point of damage to the Death Trooper, and readying him, therefore attacking with him on his next action, bringing me to 12. Things are getting a little hairy. He then uses his security complex to put a shield token on his Death Trooper. His board position is much better than mine at this point, so I have to navigate this pretty carefully if I want to live. Jim's aggression last turn did put his leader in range of my Scout Bike Pursuer for a trade, thanks to Director Krennic's buff ability. So I do trade him that, which makes me feel a little bit better. He then smacks into me for 3 more points of damage with his Death Trooper. Then I pass my action, giving it back to him, looking for some juicy targets. He plays 7th Sister, and once again her 3/6 body is pretty difficult for me to deal with. But I was prepared for this moment, and I have a Vanquish in hand for something difficult to deal with. Jim then claims the initiative, and my next action is to use my ECL to bring out a Death Trooper. I'll have it ping 2 damage on Jim's shielded Death Trooper, and then I'll just crash my Death Trooper into his. My thought process here is to just stem as much bleeding as I can. I haven't been able to restore or deal him enough damage to feel comfortable in my control game. On Jim's first action, he passes, wanting me to play something for him to kill, no doubt. So I play a Super Laser Technician, DJ Death Star, and he passes once again. He's still waiting me out, I'm sure, to play some sort of kill spell. I drew into a Steadfast Battalion this turn. It feels bad playing it without ambush from ECL, but it's still fine. He uses a Force Choke, correctly so, on it. So I get to draw a card, and Steadfast Battalion dies. I then claim the initiative. With nothing left to do, Jim passes as well. On my first action, turn 8, I play a Regional Governor, naming 7th Sister, denying him the ability to play it. Governor is also exhausted, which I'll fix that in a second. He plays a Scout Bike Pursuer as his first action on turn 8, and because I have a Vigilance card in play, I decide to gain some life back by playing a Cargo Juggernaut. This will have me heal 4 damage for my base. This thing's shielded and is kind of hard to deal with. He then claims the initiative, having ran out of a bit of gas. I use my DJ Death Star to ping him for 2 damage, and then we move on to turn 9 after we regroup. Jim's first action is to kill my DJ Death Star with his speeder bike. That'll send my Super Laser Technician to the resource zone and activate Grit on his speeder bike. I play Gideon Hask as my next action, hoping to get some experience tokens. He then plays Force Choke on Gideon, denying me that sweet, sweet ability. I then attack him with my Governor, dealing him 1 whole point of damage to his base, bringing him to 6. He uses Power of the Dark Side, and I say, my Juggernaut is much better to have than the Governor, so I just defeat the Governor. My next action is to attack him with the Juggernaut, of course, bringing him up to 10 points of damage. He claims the initiative. And then my next action is to play an Overwhelming Barrage. It's again not the best timing for this, but I want to deny him any damage he could deal me. So I kill his speeder bike. On his first action, turn 10, he plays Ruthless Raider, dealing 2 damage to my Juggernaut and 2 damage to my base. I attack into him for 4 more points of damage. He then passes, waiting for me to do my next thing. I play a Cell Block Guard, a good old 3/3 Sentinel. Perhaps this will slow down any Grand Inquisitor readying plays he has. He claims the initiative. I'll pass the turn. We regroup, and we go into turn 11 for this game. Jim's first action is to play Count Dooku. This will have him nuke my Cell Block Guard. He comes in shielded as well. Play another DJ Death Star. This guy's gonna go the distance. His next action is to play a Force Throw, having me discard a card and dealing damage equal to its resource cost. I have a Takedown, so he'll deal 4 points of damage to my Cargo Juggernaut. Found another Overwhelming Barrage, so I use that on my Cargo Juggernaut, who is now buffed thanks to Director Krennic. So I have enough to kill his Ruthless Raider and ping away Count Dooku's shield. It gets that +2/+2 buff until the end of the turn. He deals 2 more damage to it when Raider dies, and 2 more damage to my base. He then plays Force Lightning by paying just 1 resource in it, finishing off my Cargo Juggernaut. I then claim the initiative, and he passes. My first action is to play a Darth Vader. Thank goodness I drew that. I then nest his ambush action. I'll resolve his when played ability first. I found a Viper Probe droid, so I'll peep the scene of his hand. I see what I'm working against here, and then I resolve the ambush ability on Darth Vader, killing Count Dooku dead and taking 5 points of damage to Vader. But hey, he's +1/+0. He then uses his takedown that he just showed me to finish off Vader. I attack his base for 2 with my DJ Death Star. He claims the initiative. My follow-up action is to play another Scout Bike Pursuer. Afterwards, we move into the regroup phase, and somehow we both survived till turn 13. His first action is to play a 7th Sister with the intent of readying him with his leader, so I go to race mode. I deal him 3 points of damage with my Viper Probe droid. He readies the 7th Sister, dealing it 2 points of damage. I play another Cargo Juggernaut that I just drew. This will heal me 4 more points of damage for my base. It looks like my overlay didn't update here, but I'm at 11 now. He then plays a Fallen Lightsaber, attaching it to his 7th Sister. I deal 2 more points of damage to his base with my Super Laser Technician. I got that damage in now because when he attacks with 7th Sister, Fallen Lightsaber pings each one of my units for 1 point of damage. He then deals 6 to me, so I'll be at 17 damage. And then once 7th Sister connected with my base, it could deal 3 more points of damage to something, so he kills my Scout Bike Pursuer. I have him in a pickle here, and I'm able to claim the initiative before he does, so he scoops it up, knowing that he's dead on the first action of next turn. We really hope you enjoyed that best of 3 game featuring Director Krennic at ECL and Grand Inquisitor at Security Complex. This game went a little bit longer than our normal matches, but we still had fun playing the game. Please let us know what you thought about the game in the comments, and it'd be really cool of you if you could like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends.